The discourse around Umamusume lately has been pretty stilted. Kitasan Black. You should re-roll for Kitasan Black. Kitasan Black is the most important thing in the game for 3 years. Yes, you can borrow it, but you own it. It's better. Also, you need 3 uncaps, at least. Fine. I'll do a run without Kitasan Black SSR. In fact, sure. I'll do it with no SSRs, and no SRs, and no 3-star Umas, and no, I'm not borrowing any of those things. I'll do it on a fresh account, too. We start by scouting for a large pile of cards. The good news is that Umamusume Pretty Derby is pretty generous with the starting carrots. We have like 9.5, 10 pulls right out of the gate. We get a small pile of cards and launch right in. I've already done a Sakura Bakushin O run, and I don't want to just do 2 of those videos in a row, so let's go with vodka. It goes about how you would expect. Womp womp. I would show you how laughably bad the inspiration situation is with 2 G-rank parents, but, well, truthfully, we didn't even get there. Shameful display. That's fine. We will take this as a moment to grow. Between rewards and a timely donation from Cygames, we ripped enough carrots to do another 10 pull. And a 10 pull of horses. Thankfully, we don't get any of those useless 3 stars. We uncap a few more cards, and immediately hit upon the main problem for most of the run. Rare support cards kind of really suck. We won't be getting any gold skills from them, ever, and they aren't so hot as stat sticks either. The good news is, as they uncap and level up, their starting friendship sits in the 20s. This helps a lot with getting up to those rainbow trainings as small of a bonus as they tend to be. We try a few different careers with our new deck to see what works and what doesn't. It mostly doesn't. I won't drag this video out too long with our unsuccessful attempts, but here's a list and a montage.
I will remember you.
On our 5th run around, however, we hit Haru Urara, and dang. We build a support deck with these things and run a series of very close races. This is as good a time as any to talk about one of the main lessons about the game this challenge has taught, the power of just making your horse a frontrunner and stat checking your opponents. Urara here is a garbage frontrunner from an aptitude perspective. G, literally as bad as it gets, but that doesn't really matter. Aptitude in this game, as many of you probably already know, has different effects. At an A rank, your Uma runs at her baseline. With an S in a category, they receive a small bonus, and anything less than that gets an increasingly brutal handicap. Track aptitude affects the speed stat. Bad track aptitude is an absolute death flag for a race and is very difficult to overcome. Distance aptitude also affects speed, but to a lesser extent, usually towards the start and the end of a race. Finally, strategy aptitude. This really just affects wit, so you can expect more rushing and fewer skill procs. If your Uma doesn't have any skills for the front-running position, and generally isn't skill-reliant anyways, but just straight up has better stats than your opponents, you can comfortably place them there as a front-runner. So long as they can get to the front of the pack and stay there, they won't really need to worry about being boxed in, properly regulating their speed, positioning, get to the front of the pack and stay there, saying, if you're faster than me, prove it. As such, when front-running, you don't need to worry quite so much about having navigation skills, guts. You want to be ahead of, or at least the front of, the pack for the whole race. Just go faster. That said, we found a few good skills for Haru, so it was tempting to leave her in her most intended role in our most important race. We struggle bust through all of our goals and move on to the URA finals. Only 5 careers in, and we are so close to the W, but the semis were rough, and we are out of clocks. We have to choose a racing style. There are a lot of horses in this one that are pretty close to our stats, so throwing it out there as a raw stat check is kind of risky. However, drowning in a sea of racers with stats equal to, or in some case better than ours, when our biggest standout is our speed, not the greatest either. Well, let's see what happens.
これは位置取りが熾烈になりそうですね。先行争いは春なら6番9番島からラートに入ります。期待通りの結果を出せるか。1番人気シンボリルドルフ春なら快調に飛ばしていきます。春なら先頭に立ちました。続いて14番激しい先頭争い6番3番手外から9番1馬身差レイエのグラウを1馬身離れてシンボリルドルフ少し離れて8番その後から4番その後ろから3番ウォッカ並んできた少し後ろからハッピーミーク内で成田ブライアンさらにはオグリキャップさらに2番後方2番手に10番そして最後方成田大使14番先頭を進みますがこれは正解でしょうか。14番彼女の客室には合っていますね。 先頭は変わらず14番大きな木を越え4コーナーへ。さあいよいよ直線だ。どのタイミングで誰が仕掛けるのか。まだ牽制し合っているのか。互いに探り合いのままレースが進みます。
これだけ密集していると紛れがありそうですね。
春から前を狙っていると。最終コーナー最初に駆け抜けてきたのは14番ルオッカ。動いてきます。栄光まで4着。並んでくるルオッカ。飛び込んできたルオッカ。ペイエドオペラをかわして順当に勝ったルオッカ。先頭を目指して加速する。100を通過ペイエドオペラを譲らないノーカウントまで大興奮。ここで先頭に立ったハッピーメイク。2人が並んでゴールイン。ウォッカ体勢有利か。ウォッカ URA ファイナル。
And we finish off on our first brush with the finals in 5th. Ugh, not the best way to end the semis. Absolutely heartbreaking. Even on a sprinter, one of the less stat-hungry campaigns in the game, we just couldn't quite get there. Still undeterred, we go again. Haru's efforts earn us enough for another 10 pull at the support card gacha. This lands our Kitasan Black, rare, at level 35 with 3 uncaps, which is huge. Speed supports are the stars of the game at this point, as we all know, and making them as strong as possible is going to be the key, beyond even what I know at this point in my run. Well, despite that setback, we must be getting close to the end, right? We almost won. The obvious follow-up is another sprinter. Sakura Bakushin O has a lot going for her. One of the easiest, if not the easiest career in the game. Sprints with a few other races scattered around that you don't even need to win? Not bad.
1 hour later.
By the time we reach the second sprinter stakes in our senior year, we are just totally outclassed. We get 9th, and then Nishino Flower bullies us into 2nd on another run, and we're out of clocks well before the finals. Ugh, we actually did worse this time around, and I can't quite recognize why yet. Due to a sheer mix of tilt, stubbornness, and confusion, I run some races with different Umas instead of just doubling down on Urara and especially Bakushin. Sprints are the answer, and I already know it deep inside. I simply have neither the sparks nor the support cards to build a mile, medium, or God forbid I try, long runner, even if a few of my support cards have very tempting medium boosting skills. That said, I don't really want to need sprinters. It feels like a crutch, and I've already been there, done that so many times. At this point, I start searching under my car seat and behind the couch for carrots, and manage another 10 pull. We get a Kitasan Black immediately. It's the wrong one. Useless. Then we manage to pull the real one, the R1, and get our first max uncapped speed card, Kitasan Black. At level 40, she gives us a bonus power every time we train speed. It's literally just 1, but hey, that is infinitely more than 0, I guess. Train it like 12 times, and it kind of almost counts like half of a free power training with no stamina attached. I'm really dragging for positives here, aren't I? Fully losing it and tilting at this point, having played the most miserable version of this game like it was my job for 2 days straight, I build Urara a 3 guts, 2 wit, 1 speed support card deck as a cry for help. It goes about how one would expect. She gets hard stuck. I didn't really expect this to work, and I can't be surprised when it doesn't. On to attempt number 11. So now we get to the career I didn't want to make for some reason. Everyone's favorite, easy, cheesy horse, Sakura Bakushin O. 4 speed, 2 wit, the standard. Our junior make debut goes well, netting us a cloudy day win and an initial boost to our confidence, one that is challenged as we move on to the KO High Junior S, our second race. Another narrow win. There is little time to spare for training other stats, but we make a few concessions along the way to raise friendship levels. We eke out a 4th place finish here, a few hard-fought firsts there, and more than one despairingly close 2nd place along the way.
第4コーナーを進んで直線へ向かう。
内から来るか外から来るか、最後の局面です。
この直線で勝負が決まるぞ。まだ1馬身以上の差があるぞ。ここから捉えることができるのか。中山の直線は短いぞ。後ろの子たちは間に合うか。リードを開いていく桜マクシーノ。残り200。2番手争いは西のフラワー、マルデンスキー。食い下がる西のフラワー、西のフラワー並んできた。西のフラワー追いすがる桜マクシーノ。
Things are progressing like this for in-game years as we force as much speed and wit as we can, barely keeping up with the stat checks as we progress. Our inspirations are in name such only, really. The stats are bad, the bonuses are bad. We make our way, coasting from just clear to just clear of our career goals. We begin pivoting to pace chaser skills in our second year, as they are very strong compared to our alternatives, and we have a good aptitude in the running style, along with the wit to actually proc them. This will offer a viable alternative to frontrunner should we need it, that will use less of our worst stat, stamina, but increase our reliance on our shaky guts and power. This strategy is also more susceptible to bad RNG, with a decent chance that our horse simply gets boxed in and deleted from the race. For a few races, we run as a front, making it convincingly ahead of the pack. Our rival stats are growing though, and I'm not sure we will be so comfortably ahead after the URA qualifier starts turning up the difficulty. The Sprinter's S. Again. We need to win this time. 8th favorite, you don't love to see it. Our opponent's stats are generally strong, but nobody has as high of a speed or wit as us. We send it as a front runner and hope. We spend most of the race neck and neck with Marzensky. A class rep proc as we move into the final corner puts us ahead, but not by much. This is a similar situation to the last race, in which Nishino Flower caught up on the final stretch. Sprinting gear activates far too late to be of any help, but thankfully we didn't actually need it. We finished the race very ahead, but I still don't feel that good about it for some reason. Moving into the Mile CH, the final run of the normal season. One last level 5 speed training. Wait, seriously? What the hell? A 6% fail to drop mood and energy right before the big race. You can't make this up, folks. That really sucks, and I hope it won't be the end of the run. We do one last skill check, and I go with preferred position to strengthen the pace chaser backup plan by backing up our dog water stamina if it's ultimately necessary. Let me know in the comments if you saw something you would have picked there instead. I know we're going into a mile with bad stamina. This is the longest race we're going to have to run. It seemed okay to me. The Mile CH, a longer race than we're used to, against the toughest opponents yet. I switched to Pace Chaser, and hope our skills and speed are enough when the time comes to break out of the pack. We spent some time in 6 and 7. Bakushin does what she always does best. Our skills proc, and the class reps her way to the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place in short order. An Oguri Cat jump scare, as she earns herself a close 2nd, but a momentary fright is all that is. This was a win, and a very convincing one. We are off to the finals. The qualifier is a left-handed sprint, so we finally pick up the double circle version of left-handed and move on in. Windy, snowy, and soft, we are hoping our left-handed perk will pick up some of the slack from us not getting firm conditions this go-around. We stick with Pace Chaser, as the conditions will make preserving our meager stamina even more important. Even though it's a sprint, we are nastily weak, and I'm not taking any chances in the finals. Despite our wit, we get rushed, and I get worried. Some skill procs keep our pace up, and then the class rep has us fighting for first on the final curve. One of our biggest stat rivals, El Condor Pasa, is thankfully boxed in among the middle of the pack for most of the race, and is only able to break out once it is far too late. On to the semis. Firm conditions, right-handed sprint. We've achieved 827 speed, heads and shoulders above the rest of the cast, so I opt for a front-runner strategy, and we are paid off with an immediate late start in which we fall to 13th, then 14th, then 16th. We spent the entire race trapped against the fence, falling back and finishing in an embarrassing 17th place. We were the 9th favorite in this race, but come on, we can do better than that. That's 1 clock down and only 2 remain for 2 races. Second attempt. We consider changing to Pace Chaser, but I just send it. Stats-wise, we are still doing just fine, and we only really need to avoid such a terrible start. 3rd is a hell of a lot better than 17th, and we hold that position for a while. Sprinting gear activates going into the first corner, but Ines Fujin and Mihono Bourbon pull a length or 2 ahead regardless. We close ranks with Bourbon, but somehow we pulled out of thin air. No skill procs, just straight up speed stat on that final stretch. Meeting that spark of good luck with the bad one, we see that both speed and wit training have significant failure chance, and let our horse rest for the final turn of the game. Of course, she procs an awful RNG event, bringing her mood down and gaining the Night Owl condition in the moments before the most difficult race in the game. Night Owl isn't going to matter, but a mood down is like a 2 to 4% stat decrease. I go scream into a pillow for a moment, then come back and buy the double circle pace chaser straightaways to go with straight chaser corners. I don't feel so good about this one. Filled in triangle for the only skill we're rated in the top corner. 9th favorite. Soft track conditions, right-handed. Only a good mood, shaving 2% off of our stats, I think. Things could be going better. I guess at least it's a sprint and not a mile race? Nonetheless, we send it as a frontrunner with 830 speed. 6th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. We are neck and neck with Marzensky. Halfway through the race, we proc class rep, but are still a full length behind, with the pace chasers surging up to meet us. Sprinting gear in the final moments isn't enough. Crap. Marzensky takes it. Alarm clock. Only one left after this. We lock in another frontrunner attempt. No changes. Things begin much the same. We're barely in line with Marzensky, then pull ahead? Class rep procs, as does one of Marzensky's skills. We pull ahead further and then the pack closes in. Final stretch, barely ahead. The URA finals. As the snow falls on the muddy ground, Sakura Bakushin O stands above all other Umamusume. Again. Challenge runs in games, much like challenges in real life, are often a challenge not for one's ability or game sense, but their humility and ability to accept things as they are. We like to go into things with a plan, a vision for how everything will definitely go. And when we don't quite meet that, whether it's winning with a dark horse or something more important, we beat ourselves up when it doesn't go that way. Ugh, I had to use a cheesy strategy. I got carried. My opponents made a mistake. I got lucky. Forget that. Let yourself win sometimes. Take a breather, zoom out, and give yourself credit for getting as far as you did with just a stack of rares in your support deck. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who watched this video and the last. I was absolutely floored how many viewers there were for the last video and the comments I received. For those of you more interested in the WoW or VN content, there will be more of that coming. I may or may not let the horse game rest for a while. Content-wise, that is. You can't pry my phones out of my hands when I'm playing this. For all of you Umamusume bros, thank you for your time. Feel free to like or sub if you made this far and enjoyed the video. It helps a lot, and I genuinely appreciate it. Later.